This is number seven podcast.
Number 7 podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the number 7 podcast channel. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt completely invisible? Or fumbled over your words trying to make a good impression?
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
But what if there were like these secret weapons, these tools that could help you become a master communicator? Someone who could effortlessly connect with anyone.
You know, it's funny because we actually have a lot more influence over how people perceive us than we realize. And a lot of it comes down to techniques, things that we can learn and practice to really kind of shift how we're coming across.
So no more awkward silences or fumbling for the right words.
That's the idea. That's what's so exciting about this deep dive. We're going to unpack some seriously practical strategies to totally change how you navigate social situations. We'll cover making killer first impressions, mastering small talk, and even how to work a room like a politician.
Sounds good to me. Where do we start?
Well, let's start with first impressions. You know those crucial first few seconds when people are sizing you up before you even say a word? There's actually a whole science behind it.
So it's more than just dressing well or having a firm handshake.
Way more. It's like we're programmed to read subtle cues in body language and facial expressions. You know, a technique like the flooding smile can totally change how people see you.
The flooding smile.
Yeah. So instead of that quick automatic smile when you meet someone, you pause for a second. You look at them, and then you let a warm, genuine smile spread across your face. Let it reach your eyes.
So it's like a delayed reaction.
Exactly. And that tiny delay makes all the difference. Because we tend to see those instant smiles as fake, like it's just a social obligation. But when it emerges gradually, it comes across as way more sincere.
I never thought about it that way. Like you're giving them a personalized smile, not just a generic one.
That's it. It creates this warmth and connection. The other person feels seen and appreciated. Then there's sneaky eyes. It also plays on those subtle cues.
The dicky eyes. Kind of creepy, isn't it?
I know the name's a bit weird, but it's actually a really smart strategy for mastering eye contact. It's not about staring intensely, more about maintaining a comfortable gaze, showing that you're present and interested.
So it's finding that balance between looking away too much, which seems like you don't care, and staring too intensely, which is just uncomfortable.
Exactly. Think of it like a gentle pull, keeping their attention without being intrusive. And then there's epoxy eyes. It's like sticky eyes, but amplified.
Epoxy eyes. Okay, now I'm really curious.
This one uses intense, sustained eye contact. It creates connection and maybe even a little intrigue. Power players use it, investigators, and yeah, even those trying to spark romance.
Sounds powerful. But you got to use it carefully, right?
Absolutely. It can backfire if you overdo it. It can seem aggressive or even intimidating.
Okay, got it. Now, what about posture? I know it's important, but does it really impact how people see you?
It's huge. Our posture reflects our confidence and state of mind, whether we realize it or not. There's this technique called hang by your teeth that can instantly transform how you carry yourself.
Hang by your teeth. Ouch.
Don't worry, no actual tooth hanging involved. It's a visualization. Imagine you're an acrobat hanging from the top of a circus tent. By your teeth. You'll naturally straighten your spine, pull your shoulders back, you'll project strength and confidence.
I can see how that would work. It's like tricking your body into a power pose.
Exactly. Then there's the big baby pivot. All about making the person you're talking to feel like they're the most important person in the room.
Now that's a technique I can get behind.
Think about how you turn towards a baby to give them your full attention. The big baby pivot is doing the same thing with adults. Turning your body towards them shows you're completely focused on them.
Like saying you're the center of my world without actually saying it.
Precisely. We've been talking about nonverbal cues, and they're super powerful for setting the stage for positive interactions. But what happens when the conversation actually starts?
That's where I get stuck. Small talk can be so awkward.
Don't worry. There are some really effective techniques for mastering small talk and having deeper, more engaging conversations.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about these conversation boosters.
One of the most important is make a mood match, mirroring the other person's energy and tone of voice.
So if they're super excited, I should match that energy. And if they're more laid back, I should adjust accordingly.
You got it. Creating harmony from the start. Speaking the same language, but on an energetic level.
Makes sense. It's about building rapport and understanding right from the beginning.
Now let's talk about prospecting for what's-its. A cool technique for finding those little nuggets that lead to deeper, more interesting conversations.
Prospecting for what's-its. I need you to explain that one.
Imagine you're a detective searching for clues. Pay attention to details people reveal about themselves. A unique piece of jewelry, a comment about a recent trip, even a book they're carrying.
So being observant and picking up on those hints that spark a more meaningful conversation.
Exactly. People reveal so much if you just pay attention. It's like they're giving you little gifts, these what's-its, and you just have to unwrap them and see what's inside.
I like that. Turning small talk into a treasure hunt.
And then there's Never the Naked City. It's about one of the most common conversation starters. What do you do?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely guilty of asking that one all the time. What's wrong with it?
It's not necessarily bad, but it can be a bit limiting. People often just respond with their job title, which doesn't tell you much about them as a person.
So you get this flat 2D view of them instead of the full picture.
Right. Instead of what do you do, try how do you spend most of your time? Or what are you working on these days?
Yeah, that's more open-ended. They can share as much or as little as they want. And it's not just about work. They might tell you about their hobbies or their volunteer work or some creative project.
Exactly. You're going beyond the job title and getting a glimpse into their passions and interests, what makes them tick.
Like you're inviting them to share their story, not just their resume.
Exactly. And when you really want to get someone's perspective, there's be a word detective.
Okay, I like the sound of that one.
It's about paying close attention to not just what they say, but how they say it. The words and phrases they repeat, the topics that make their face light up, the stories they keep coming back to.
So listening for those verbal clues that reveal what's truly important to them.
Yes. And once you've spotted those key words and phrases, there's a technique called parroting. It can keep them talking and help you dive deeper into those areas.
Parroting, as in repeating what they say like a bird.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but it works. Repeating the last few words of their sentence shows you're really listening and encourages them to elaborate.
So not mocking them, just showing that I'm engaged and want to hear more.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off you to come up with clever responses. Sometimes the best way to keep a conversation going is to just be a really good listener.
That's so true. And it's amazing how a few simple techniques can transform even the most awkward small talk into a genuine connection.
That's the goal. And with these basics down, you're ready to take your conversations to the next level. We'll explore that in the next part of our deep dive. It really is amazing how such small tweaks can make a big difference, you know. And as we go deeper into these communication secrets, we're going to find even more ways to boost those interactions, to make every conversation count.
I'm ready for more. What other gems are hidden in this book?
Let's move on to part 3. How to talk like a VIP. This is all about leveling up your skills, making an impression. And yeah, even how to subtly flatter the people you're talking to.
Ooh, flattery. I'm all ears. I've always been terrible at giving compliments that don't sound cheesy.
It is a fine art. One technique that really stands out is encore, a subtle way to flatter someone by asking them to retell a story they've shared before.
Wait, so I should actually ask someone to repeat themselves. Wouldn't they find that annoying?
No, not at all. Think about it. When you genuinely loved someone's story, you naturally want to hear it again, right? Shows that you were really listening. Their experience was so captivating, you want to relive it with them.
So like saying, your story was amazing. I need to hear it again, but without actually saying it.
Exactly. It's subtle but powerful.
Yeah.
Makes someone feel valued and appreciated. Another technique to really elevate your conversations is accentuate the positable.
So focusing on the bright side and keeping things upbeat.
Precisely. When you're getting to know someone, gotta put your best foot forward. Create a positive vibe. Save those deeper, darker stories for later once you've built trust.
Makes sense. You don't want to overload someone with negativity right off the bat.
Right. Speaking of putting your best foot forward, there's a technique that addresses one of the most common conversation pitfalls. What do you do?
Okay, we touched on this before, but I'm still kind of curious. Why is this such a conversational faux pas? It just seems like a natural question to ask.
Yeah, it's common, but it can be a real conversation killer. Feels intrusive almost, like you're putting someone on the spot and forcing them to define themselves by their job.
Reducing them to a job title instead of a whole person.
Exactly. Plus, it can lead to these one-sided conversations where someone drones on about their work and the other person is just nodding politely, not really engaged.
So what's the alternative? What should we ask instead of, what do you do?
Instead of focusing on the job, try something like, how do you spend most of your time? Or, what are you passionate about these days?
Oh, I see the difference. It's way more open-ended. Gives them the control and lets them share what really matters to them.
And you'll find those conversations are way more interesting and engaging for both of you. Now, here's a simple but powerful technique that can instantly make people feel heard and appreciated. Communication.
Communication. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the secret?
It's all about strategically using the word you. When you focus your language on the other person, it makes them feel like the center of attention, which, let's face it, we all crave.
So shift the focus from me to you. Instead of, I think that's a great idea, it's, you have a great idea.
Exactly. It's subtle, but it makes a huge difference in how your words are received. Makes people feel valued, respected, understood. And speaking of making an impression, let's talk about don't touch a cliche with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah.
Avoid overused phrases.
Exactly. Cliches make you sound unoriginal. Big winners choose their words carefully. They craft their language to reflect their personality, their perspective.
So be mindful of the words we use and finding fresh, creative ways to express ourselves.
Yes. Now let's shift gears a bit. How to shine in those nerve-wracking phone conversations. Part 4 of this book is How to Be a Hit in Another Show. And it has some brilliant strategies for making those calls more engaging and effective.
Oh, phone calls can be so awkward. It's like all my charm just vanishes the minute I pick up the phone.
Yeah, I get it. But there are ways to bring your personality to life even when you're not face-to-face. One of my favorites is talking gestures.
But how can you use gestures when the other person can't see you?
It's about bringing those gestures to life through your voice. Like, think about how you might use your hands to emphasize a point or convey excitement when you're talking in person. Try to translate those movements into your voice. Using inflection, tone, pacing, you create this more dynamic auditory experience.
So like you're painting a picture with your words and your voice is the brush.
Exactly. And that brings us to name shower. Super simple, super powerful.
Name shower. So I'm like drenching someone in names.
No, just use the other person's name frequently throughout the conversation. People love hearing their own name. Makes them feel special, acknowledged, remembered.
So it's like a little verbal gift every time you say their name.
Exactly. Creates warmth, familiarity, connection. Another technique to make someone feel valued is salute the spouse.
Okay. Do I have to stand at attention and give a military salute?
No. It's about acknowledging the important people in their lives. Their spouse, their kids, their parents, even their pet. Shows you see them as a whole person, not just a voice on the phone.
Those little personal touches can go a long way.
Right. Now let's jump into part 5. How to work a party like a politician works a room. Strategies for navigating social events like a pro. Making an entrance, leaving an impression.
Okay, this is where I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
I'm so awkward at parties. I usually end up hiding with a plate of food trying to blend into the wallpaper.
I hear you. Parties can be intimidating, but with the right strategies, you can actually learn to enjoy them and shine. One technique to boost your confidence instantly is rubberneck the room.
So like craning my neck to see what everyone's doing.
Exactly. Don't just rush into the crowd. Pause at the door, take a moment to assess the scene, like a general scoping out the battlefield before the attack. Look for familiar faces, interesting groups, and figure out who you want to connect with. Could be for business, social reasons, even romance.
So being strategic and intentional about my interactions.
Right. Once you've got your targets in sight, it's time for be the chooser, not the choosy.
Okay, I like that one already.
Don't wait for people to approach you. Take charge. Choose who you want to talk to and make your move. Project confidence and purpose. That instantly makes you more attractive and interesting.
So like saying, I'm here to connect with you, instead of hoping someone picks me.
Exactly. And here's one that can make a big difference in how approachable you seem. Come hither, hands.
Come hither, hands. Sounds like some cheesy pickup artist move.
Nope. Just using your hands to signal that you're open and welcoming. Keep your palms open, facing upwards. Don't cross your arms. Use gestures that are inviting and engaging.
So it's like saying, I'm happy to be here and I'm open to connecting without actually saying it.
Exactly. Once you've made a connection, you got to make sure it sticks. That's where tracking comes in.
Tracking. Am I following them around like a private eye?
No. It's about remembering those key details about the people you meet so you can impress them next time.
So being a good listener and actually paying attention to what people tell me.
Exactly. Their name, their profession, their hobbies, their kids' names, anything you can use to personalize your interactions shows that you care.
Like I'm building a little mental file on everyone I meet so I can pick up the conversation right where we left off.
And if you're networking, there's a great trick for making the most of those interactions. The business card dossier.
Okay, tell me more about that one. I always end up with stacks of business cards after an event, but never know what to do with them.
Well, don't just throw them in a drawer. Use them as a tool to build relationships. Write down key details about the person on the back of their card so you can remember them later. Personalize your follow-up.
So turning those business cards into little cheat sheets.
Right. Turning those brief encounters into something more meaningful. And speaking of making connections, there's eyeball selling.
Eyeball selling. Sounds intense.
It's about the power of eye contact. Remember, sticky eyes. This takes it a step further. Using your eyes to connect on a deeper level. Convey sincerity, build trust.
Like I'm looking into their soul. Seeing beyond the surface and connecting heart to heart.
That's a good way to put it. And that brings us to part 6. Little tricks of big winners. These subtle but powerful techniques can make you more likable, more influential, all around awesome.
Okay, I'm ready to level up my awesomeness. Give me those little tricks.
One of the most important, often overlooked, is see no bloopers, hear no bloopers.
So being discreetly oblivious to people's mistakes.
Exactly. We all trip over our words, spill our drinks, have those awkward moments. Big winners know how to handle those situations with grace. Instead of pointing out the blunder, just ignore it. Keep the conversation going.
It's about saving face, making them feel comfortable even if they've messed up.
And sometimes you can actually help someone save face with lend a helping tongue.
Oh, that sounds interesting. How does that work?
It's subtly helping someone when they fumble. Like if they're trying to remember a name, you casually drop it into the conversation. Or if they're searching for the right word, you gently offer a suggestion.
Like I'm their verbal wingman, helping them navigate those awkward moments.
And it shows you're quick-witted, attentive. You genuinely care about making them feel comfortable. Now let's talk about the buried FFM. Encourages transparency in your interactions.
What does that stand for?
What's in it for me? Everyone is motivated by self-interest, even the most selfless among us.
So being upfront about my own motivations, instead of pretending I'm doing it all out of the goodness of my heart.
Exactly. It's not about being selfish. It's about honesty and transparency, what you want and how they can benefit from helping you achieve it.
So creating a win-win, where everyone feels like they're getting something out of the interaction.
And speaking of win-wins, there's let them savor the favor. Focuses on the art of giving gracefully.
Okay, giving gracefully. I like that. What's the secret?
Make the other person feel good about accepting your help or generosity. Don't make them feel obligated or like they owe you. Let them savor the experience of receiving your kindness.
Like giving a gift and you want them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
No strings attached.
Right. Then there's tat. A clever take on reciprocity.
That whole dance of favors and obligations, right?
Exactly. When someone does you a favor, it's natural to want to repay them. But big winners know how to finesse these situations.
So instead of immediately being like, okay, I owe you one, I let them enjoy the good feeling of doing something nice.
Yes. Make them feel good about their generosity. No pressure. Now let's talk about navigating those tricky social situations. Office parties, family gatherings, things that can easily get awkward.
Yes. Any tips for keeping those conversations flowing smoothly?
Absolutely. The main thing to remember is that parties are for pratter.
So I shouldn't be pitching my business idea at the company holiday party.
Probably not the best time. Parties are for lighthearted conversation, building rapport, enjoying each other's company. Save the serious stuff for the office.
Good point. What about those family dinners that always end up in heated debates?
Well, there's dinners for dining. A reminder that meal times should be enjoyable, a time for connection.
So no arguing about politics or religion
Yeah.
over Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly. Keep it light, positive, relationship-focused. What about those chance encounters? Running into someone at the store or the gym?
Ugh, those can be so awkward. Never know what to say.
Remember, chance encounters are for chit-chat.
So keep it brief and friendly. Just pleasantries.
Right. Respect their time and space. Don't trap them in a conversation they're not ready for.
Reading those cues and being sensitive to their energy.
Speaking of reading cues, there's empty their tanks, being an attentive and empathetic listener.
Love this one. Sometimes people just need to vent, get stuff off their chest. And it's so important to listen without judgment. Let them process their emotions.
Exactly. Resist giving solutions or advice unless they ask for it. Just be supportive and non-judgmental.
Holding space for them, letting them feel heard and understood.
And to really boost that sense of understanding, there's echo the emo.
Emo, like the music.
No. EMO stands for emotions. It's about recognizing and acknowledging the emotional subtext. Going beyond the words and tuning into the feelings behind them.
Listening with my heart, not just my ears.
Exactly. When someone's sharing something emotionally charged, reflect back their feelings. It shows you understand and empathize with their experience.
Like I'm saying, I see your pain, or I feel your joy, without actually using those words.
Precisely. Now let's talk about my goof, your gain. Turning your mistakes into opportunities to build relationships.
We all make mistakes. But I like the idea of turning those blunders into something positive.
It's about taking responsibility and making amends. Don't try to hide your mistakes. Own them and find a way to make things right.
Shows humility and integrity.
And sometimes the best thing you can do is leave an escape hatch.
Sounds kind of traumatic. Escape hatch.
It's about giving someone a graceful way out, a way to save face, even if they messed up.
So being understanding and forgiving, even when someone's messed up.
Exactly. You preserve their dignity and let them move on without feeling humiliated.
It's an act of kindness and diplomacy. Now let's talk about building those strong relationships with the people who matter most, both personally and professionally.
Love that. One of my favorite techniques is buttercups for their boss.
Buttercups, like the flowers.
It's a metaphor for compliments. Praise someone to their superior.
Showing appreciation in a way that benefits them professionally.
Exactly. It shows you notice and appreciate their hard work, and it reflects well on both of you.
It's a win-win.
Speaking of winning, let's talk about lead the listeners, being a captivating and engaging speaker.
Okay, I need help with that one. Not a natural storyteller.
Anyone can be a more engaging speaker. Be confident, enthusiastic, passionate.
Let my inner rock star shine through.
Exactly. And be aware of your audience. Adjust your style to their energy and interests.
Like conducting an orchestra, keeping everyone engaged and entertained.
And that brings us to the final section of this book, how to fine-tune your listening skills.
Listening skills. Did we already cover that?
We touched on it, but this part really digs deep into truly hearing and understanding, both the words and the nonverbal cues.
So going beyond just hearing and actually absorbing the deeper meaning and the emotions.
Yes. And one of the most effective ways to do that is with the listening lullaby.
A listening lullaby. Okay, I'm curious.
It's about using subtle verbal cues to soothe and encourage the speaker. Those little sounds we all make when we're really tuned in. Oh, really? Tell me more.
Like a gentle lullaby that keeps the conversation flowing and makes the speaker feel heard.
You got it. Then there's echoing. We talked about this earlier, but now we'll go deeper into the nuances.
So it's not just parroting words, but reflecting the speaker's emotions and the underlying message.
Exactly. You're not just listening, you're understanding how they feel.
Listening with my heart as well as my head.
Right. And don't forget about nonverbal feedback. That's what I see what you mean is all about.
So those nonverbal cues. Nodding, smiling eye contact.
Yep. Those cues build connection and make the speaker feel heard.
Like saying, I'm with you, keep going, I'm hanging on your every word.
Now let's talk about potent images. Using vivid language to create a more engaging experience.
So painting pictures with words, bringing their stories to life.
Exactly. Instead of, I had a great vacation, it's, I spent a week on a secluded beach in Bali watching the sunrise over the turquoise water.
Like you're transporting the listener right there with your words.
And now for a really fascinating concept. Anatomically correct empathizers.
Anatomically correct empathizers. I'm going to need you to break that one down.
It's about tailoring your responses to match the speaker's primary mode of perception. Visual, auditory, or kinesthetic.
So if someone's very visual and says, I see what you mean, I might respond with, you have a clear vision of that.
Exactly. Or if they're more auditory and they say, that sounds good, you might say, I hear you.
Speaking their language, connecting on a deeper level.
Then there's the premature we, a clever tactic for creating intimacy and connection, even with someone you've just met.
The premature we, like I'm jumping the gun on the relationship.
Not quite. It's about using inclusive language. We, us, our. Creates a sense of shared experience, camaraderie.
So like building a bridge. We're in this together.
Exactly. It can really break down those initial barriers. Establish rapport.
Like fast forwarding past the awkward, getting to know you stage and jumping right into we're friends.
Now let's talk about compliments. How to give compliments that are genuine, specific, memorable.
I'm all about giving compliments, but always struggle to find the right words. It's so easy to fall back on those generic ones that don't really mean anything.
Try this one. Excuses. Excuses.
Oh, like finding excuses to compliment someone.
Yeah. Go beyond the obvious. Find those unique qualities that make someone special.
Instead of you have a nice car, it's I love how your car reflects your personality. So stylish and sophisticated.
There you go. Find genuine points of connection, express admiration authentically.
And then there's the killer compliment. Sounds like the ultimate compliment.
This one is about delivering a compliment so specific, so personal, so unexpected, it blows them away.
So find that quality that makes them shine and express your admiration so it really sticks with them.
Exactly. It's not about flattery or manipulation. It's about genuine appreciation, recognizing what makes people special.
Like giving them a verbal trophy.
Right.
Recognizing their awesomeness.
And speaking of recognizing awesomeness, there's the knee-jerk wow. Being quick to praise and acknowledge other people's accomplishments, no matter how big or small.
Love this one. Celebrating those wins and letting people know you're happy for them.
People thrive on that positive reinforcement. A well-timed wow can make all the difference.
Like I'm their personal cheerleader.
Yes. And then there's the tombstone game. It's a beautiful exercise in understanding what truly matters to your loved ones.
The tombstone game. Kind of morbid, isn't it?
It's not about death, it's about legacy. Have a conversation with your loved ones about what they want to be remembered for, what qualities they value, how they want to make a difference.
Like helping them write their own eulogy.
Yeah.
But in a positive way.
Yes. Deepen your connections and show them you understand and appreciate who they are at their core.
Honoring their essence, their spark, their contribution to the world.
And that brings us to the last technique in this section, the great scorecard in the sky.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
It's a reminder that every interaction, every word, every gesture leaves a mark. It's like we're all keeping score, not just for ourselves, but for the impact we have on others.
Powerful image. Makes you think twice about how you treat people and the kind of legacy you leave.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more concept from the book. The idea that everyone has a nutshell resume.
A nutshell resume. What's that?
It's like an elevator pitch for your life. A concise and compelling summary of who you are, what you do, what makes you unique.
So being able to clearly articulate my value proposition.
Right. Distilling your essence, skills, experiences, passions into a few memorable sentences.
Sounds like a great tool for networking, job interviews, even just social situations. Making a strong first impression.
Absolutely. Showcasing your best self. Make it easy for people to see your value.
So how do you craft this perfect nutshell resume?
It starts with pinpointing your strengths and accomplishments. What are you most proud of? What makes you stand out? What are you passionate about?
Figuring out what makes you tick, what you have to offer.
Exactly. Then you find the words to express all that concisely and compellingly.
Like writing a haiku, capturing your essence in a few perfect words.
Exactly. Once you've got it, practice it until you can deliver it smoothly and confidently in any situation.
Like a secret weapon ready to go.
Right. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this amazing book.
What an incredible journey. This book is a game changer for anyone who wants to communicate better and build stronger relationships. Practical advice, insightful techniques, and fascinating psychology.
A book that can really change your life personally and professionally.
I couldn't agree more. And for our listeners who want to start applying these techniques right away, remember to start small.
Pick one or two techniques that resonate with you and practice them.
Don't try to do everything at once. Just focus on making small improvements and you'll be amazed at the results.
Communication is a journey. We're always learning and growing.
Be patient with yourself. Enjoy the process.
And have fun. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. When you're relaxed and confident and genuinely interested in connecting with people, it shows. And that's when the magic happens.
Absolutely. Go out there and start talking to anyone. You have the power to make a difference, one conversation at a time.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Feeling inspired to put these techniques into practice. Conversations are a whole new world now.
Me too. We have so much power to shape our interactions and build stronger connections.
Absolutely. If you're feeling inspired too, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Number 7 podcast channel for more deep dives like this one.
We've got so much more to explore together. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us. This book is amazing. Really makes you think about how we communicate and how it ties into our psychology, even our need for connection.
It is, like this idea of the nutshell resume, speaks to our desire to be seen and understood for who we really are.
So it's more than just listing your skills and experience.
It's about capturing what makes you you, values, passions, the impact you want to make, your personal brand statement.
Love that. A clear message that resonates and makes people want to learn more.
Exactly. Picture yourself at a networking event and someone asks, "Tell me about yourself." Instead of freezing up, you confidently deliver your nutshell resume.
It's like giving them the key to understanding you.
That's it. And you can tailor it to different situations. Emphasize leadership skills for a job interview. Highlight your creativity at a party.
A secret weapon for making a strong impression.
Exactly. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this book. It's been quite a journey, exploring human interaction, finding ways to transform how we communicate.
I've learned so much. It's incredible how those small nuances can make or break a connection.
It has been a pleasure. And remember, the real magic happens when you actually use these techniques.
Absolutely. It's not about memorizing rules, but about finding what works for you and having fun with it.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
True. The more we practice, the better we get. And that confidence can change everything.
Well said. You know, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's inspiring to talk about this with someone who's as passionate about communication as you are.
Me too. It's been a blast. I bet our listeners are feeling inspired to level up their communication skills as well.
I hope so. To all our listeners out there, remember, you can connect with anyone, build those relationships, and make a difference. One conversation at a time.
That's a great note to end on. And to everyone listening, if you want to keep learning about communication, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Number 7 podcast channel.
We have so much more to explore. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us on the Number 7 podcast. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing and those connections strong.